Hello, my name is Sleepy. This is Empyrion Galactic Survival, Level 3 base. First of all, let's take a little look at our world, and it's got kind of freaky. I can tell you from experience, this is what happens when you spawn a 6.0 world when you happen to be still in 5.5. But that's okay, because we were finished anyway. What I want to do today, and the reason I'm speaking in this video, is I want to cover what we've done and why we've done. First question is, why did you make this series? And I made this series for one particular reason. I love Empyrion. I think it's a great game. But a lot of people don't play it because they say, well, I'm not a combat. I'm not G.I. Joe. I can't go through the POIs. The POIs are too tough. And I wanted to show people that you don't have to go through the POIs to play this game. If you'll notice from the beginning, we started off with a very ugly, very simple base. So every POI on this planet and every planet we've been to is still standing. All their guns are still on top. We didn't take anything out. We did attack a village, which was totally useless and needless. I was just killing time. But you can start this game and you don't have to. If you're not G.I. Joe, you don't have to go through the POIs. You don't have to take on the guns. That's the beauty of Empyrion. It's a sandbox. It is a shooter, but it's also a crafting game. It's a building game. It's an exploration game. We've proved that you can land on a planet in survival, that you can build your base, you can build your ships, you can mine your things. You are going to have to fight the drones, except for now when they're broke, and you're not going to have to. And the drones aren't that tough. As you saw, you can mine your minerals, you can build your ships, you can go to the moon, you can get what you need, you can come back, you can build a capital ship, and you can go to the rare planets and you can bring home the rare minerals, all without having to take on the big bad dungeons. And that's the one thing that, like I say, I love about Empyrion, because it's up to your imagination. Once you have the rares back home, you basically have everything at your fingertips every other player has. You can build your auto miners, you can build your advanced weapons, you can build your advanced ships, you can build your advanced bases. You can build anything in the game that's buildable from your own home base without ever having to take over a POI. That's kind of the thing. I want to encourage players who just aren't combat G.I. Joes to play this game. This game, as far as building goes, even though we have a really ugly base, but as far as building goes, and as far as exploration goes, it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm hoping once they get the universe in, it'll even just make that so much more attractive. Okay, let's cover what we've done. We've built an ugly base. The reason we built an ugly base was because we wanted to show exactly how cheap you could build a base with how little mining and how little gathering of stuff you could do and actually be in a base that would make you safe. We built a farm. Why did we build the farm as a separate entity? We built the farm as a separate entity to save power. What I've learned from my past games is I save about 30 to 33 to 35% power if I do it this way. I do use a little more resources up front, but I never want to shut my farm off. I want my farm growing 24/7. And that's what keeps you alive. But if you'll notice, I do shut my base off when I'm not using it. And in later games, what I'll do is I'll either expand this out or I'll dig a basement and stuff like that, and I'll put all my cargo containers and everything in there because they all take one thing of power. And all this other stuff in here, I'll put my repair block out here and everything. And so I can shut it off and I don't have to worry about 24/7 that power drain. Why worry about the power drain? Because I hate mining. And the less power I'm using, the less promethium I have to mine. That is the whole idea of making the farm a separate base. Is it just saves you on power. You'll notice here we're only burning 67 kilowatts. I challenge most people to come up with a base that does everything they want, and as you leave it on, only burns 67 kilowatts. Because the only thing we're powering here are the lights, the two refrigerators, the guns, and this food processor. So basically the idea of making the farm a separate base is totally energy savings. It's totally amount of promethium you have to mine. And I think that just makes it easier on you. The less you have to mine, the easier that makes it. Now we'll cover the ships that we spawned in and the reason why we spawned each one of them in. First ship we spawned in was a Bumblebee. It's a level 7 spawn in. There's a lot of debate here about whether you spawn in something like the Bumblebee or you spawn in a hover vessel. I prefer the Bumblebee because I prefer to fly. It doesn't give you... There are some things that a hover vessel or a hover gunner, or what I call a hover hunter, which I have a few of them, and I do use them depending on the scenario and stuff, but I always prefer to spawn in the Bumblebee. Now, it used to be because the Bumblebee would also take me to the asteroids and to the moon, which, without finding the right armor, that's made that a null point at this time. And that brings us to the second ship we spawned in, which was a brand new ship, created basically, and that was the F-106 Dart, or the Sun Dart. I actually, after we died in space in the Bumblebee, built this puppy from scratch, just going by what I knew I needed. You know, I did put a constructor on it. I didn't really need a constructor, but when I was building it, I was kind of like thinking, well, let's make this for everybody. So I did put a constructor in it for those who like constructors on it. It's got all the guns you should need early in the game on it. Now you notice I did switch out in the last episode 2 of the GATs with missile launchers. That's because I didn't know if I was going to have to fight the patrol vessel. And I think the missile launchers are better against the flying vessels than the GATs are. Haven't proven that yet, but that's just an opinionated thing, so we'll have to see. I know that the missile launchers are probably a little better against the POIs, so it kind of gives us a dual functionality. It can go against the patrol vessels and the POIs, but we haven't proven any of that yet. But for what we've done with her, as far as taking out drones, as far as taking us to the moon, able us to mine the Sathium and the Neodyme, enabling us to collect our blue crystal, and be able to loot items and stuff on the moon, she's worked out excellent. I did harden the nose in this one from the stock version as well. Something I just believe in. I like the hardened metal better than the regular steel. But you can play her with regular steel as long as you don't just push her too hard. We are, in the next episode that I filmed, we are going to push her hard and see what she can really do, because I don't think she's really been tested. We spawned in the Digger. Now the Digger is new and isn't new. I had been working on a prototype hovercraft that would mine like this, but it had an open cockpit. All my previous hovers have had open cockpit because weather and radiation had not been an issue. Once we played 6.0, I got, this is going to be an issue. So I had to go back into creative and take a look at what I did. And the miner like this that I was testing had the open cockpit. And what I did is I replaced the open cockpit. I made her a little wider over here on the upper sides. I already had the guns on the other miner. Now I did have this as a ramp, and I made it flat just to give it a little more beefy look and a place to put the MMC. But this is really just a modification of a miner I was already working on, so it really wasn't that much work. It was just really putting the cockpit in, doing some rearranging, and then testing her. Now, I had tested the other miner a little bit, but not much. But really, the in-game play you saw was the test of the Digger. I was trying to see how well she was working. I was really happy that she shot down the transport. That's always my test for a hover gunner, is will they shoot down a transport. So if they won't shoot down a transport, I don't want to use them. So I was real happy that happened, and she did it on her own at night. I just happened to go over there and say, hey, there's a troop transport shot down. Wow, you go. So I'm happy with that. And I'm happy with the way she performed. She did exactly her job on the rare planets. She enabled me to get out without suffering the effects of the radiation and without suffering the effects of the weather. She was able to bring home the minerals, load them up, and keep me safe. That's exactly what I built her for. So far I think she's been a success. I like her so far. We did spawn in the Hornet. The Hornet is... We didn't use it in this series, which I'm sad about, but we really need to be attacking POIs to use the Hornet, because that's what it is. That is my POI go-to machine. And hopefully in the next series we'll get to use the Hornet a little more. Pound for pound, I believe the Hornet is the best ship in the game. But you didn't get to see that, so there's no reason to be saying that. You're going to be looking at it going, it's a flying box. Yes, it's a flying box. But hopefully at some point in time we'll get to see exactly how effective this flying box is. But I normally, and this is just me, I don't go anywhere without a Hornet. It's saved my rear too many times. It's kind of my life raft. It's my go-to when everything hits the fan, and that's why we took the Hornet with us. And last but not least, we spawned in the Hummingbird. If you watch the Hummingbird vehicle, you understand that this vehicle is specially built to get me to the planets and get the rares and bring them home. She's always my first spawn in CV. Most games I'll tear her up after and spawn in a second level, a higher level CV. But there's just nothing I found in the game that's as cheap and as effective at performing this mission early in the game than the Hummingbird. We did extend the deck on the back to fit our new ships. The older version just had the one little deck back here that she was just Hornet wide. I did this in game on purpose. Now the one you download on Steam will already have this done for you. I had done it. It's all painted and everything up. It's already got the ramp and it's all nice and done for you. But you can leave it on there, take it off up to your gameplay. Nothing that I've done says this is the way it should be done. This is just the way I do it. And that's the beauty of Empyrion. The way you do things is up to your imaginations. Just because somebody else does something somewhere doesn't mean you have to. Do it what's fun for you. Just because I spawn in certain ships doesn't mean you need to spawn in certain ships. Experiment, be inventive, try new things, discover new things. I am by no means the end-all, know-all of this game. Everything you've seen me done is just what I've done from experimentation. My Bumblebee was really early when I had the game, and I was getting my rear kicked by spiders and raptors, and I wanted armor. Well, way back then, you run around with a flashlight. You didn't have suit light. You couldn't even shoot with your flashlight, so you couldn't see spiders, and they were just tearing me up at night. I would see them with the flashlight, then I'd go to the gun, then I couldn't see them to shoot them. It was driving me insane. And that's where the Bumblebee got. I spawned in the Bumblebee and just went on a rampage, killing every spider on the planet I could find. They just drove me insane. And I was like, okay, spiders, we're playing even now. And that was the whole way the Bumblebee got built. It was my armor, my mech warrior suit, and from the Bumblebee evolved the Hornet. But anyway, that's a whole different story. I hope you've enjoyed this series. It's been a little different. It's shown everything. It's shown all the mining. It's shown all the grinding. There hasn't been any speaking in it, so you could actually just watch the game and see what I was doing. I do encourage anybody that has any questions to please, post them about why I did certain things, what was the logic or what's the reasons. And I'll tell you if there was a good logical reason about it, I'll tell you. Or if it's just me being stupid, I will tell you that too, because trust me, I do stupid stuff as well as everybody else. Big time. And if you know any players that are struggling with the game, who aren't the G.I. Joe type, but do want like the building type or the exploration type and stuff like that, and they are struggling, please refer them to these videos. If they have questions, I'll be more than happy to give them all the help I have. And if the viewers here, if you have needs, if you're struggling with something, please hit me up with it. If I don't know, I'll tell you. I don't know. And if I do know, maybe I can help you out. Or together, more likely together, we can find answers. We can solve the problem. That's one thing I've learned, that the more minds that are working on something together, the easier it is to solve issues. But that was the whole reason behind this series, was to be able to not have to attack the POIs and go to the rare planets and bring home the rare minerals. Best I can tell, that's about all I needed to cover. I'm sure there was some other stuff I didn't cover. Normally my bases aren't this ugly, and I've been kind of slow leaking dropping this last episode because I've been hoping 6.0 was drop. I really wanted to start brand new in 6.0 public, but it hasn't happened yet, so I'm kind of twiddling my thumbs wondering whether I have been doing another playthrough, like I said, but I'm kind of wondering how far we're going to get on that. I do know when 6.0 drops public, I will probably be starting over. I will be looking for a server to play on. Preferably, I want a server that is going to be completely wiped, because there are some great servers out there. Don't get me wrong, there are some awesome servers out there, but those people, to me, the fun is climbing the mountain. And those people have already climbed the mountain. They are on top. They have their worlds built. They have their galaxies built. And the reason they're still playing is because they so much did enjoy the climb to the top. And that's kind of what I don't want to miss. I don't want to miss the starting from brand new and then climbing to the top, getting my universe built, getting my bases built, getting my space bases built, and stuff like that. I want to enjoy the ride. And that's why I'm looking for a new server that's going to completely wipe and start from scratch. Everybody starting across the board even. I don't care if it's a PvP or a PvE server. Either way, I'm fine with that. I can play either one. I don't mind a little PvP. I just don't want to concentrate on PvP because there's times when I just don't want a PvP. You know, I just want to build and I want to create. I want to see what I can build. I want to see what I can make stuff look like. I want to play. So I never play on a strictly PvP server, ever. I did once and I didn't realize it was strictly PvP and I was like, oh, this is not going to be enough fun. It's just going to be battle zone all the time. So the server I want to have PvE areas. If it has PvP areas, I'm fine with that too. That allows me to bring in a wider variety of my ships. But I do want one that's going to be starting from scratch. It's going to do a complete wipe. So anyway, this is Sleepy. This has been Empyrion Galactic, level 3 base. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the comments. You are fantastic. And once again, like I say, anything I can give any player some help with if they need something, if they want a ship built. I've built a few ships for a few of the viewers that watch these, which I don't mind because it expands me. It shows me what other players need, what they want, and gives me a little insight. And then sometimes I build horrible ships for them, and sometimes I build good ships for them, so you never know. But I'm out. This is Empyrion Galactic Survival. I'm Sleepy. Peace, enjoy, be safe, and be good to one another. You're all more important than you think. I'm out.